On Conversations this morning, the federal government says it has increased VAT revenue from the fourth quarter of 2024, which is a demonstration of the positive effects of President Tinubu's quote, strategic fiscal reforms and economic policies. Data shows that VAT rose to 1.95 trillion naira in Q4 of 2024, which is a 9.23% increase from the third quarter of the same year. The administration has attributed this increase to enhanced tax compliance, broadened revenue sources, and stronger domestic and international trade activity. Despite this, social welfare in the country remains low, raising questions about the impact of improved performances across economic and financial indices. Joining me to speak on this is Adeboyega Adebajo, who is an economist. Good morning and welcome to the conversation, sir.
Good morning, Nabila.
It's a pleasure to have you on.
Here.
Right. So let's talk about this 1.95 trillion naira and perhaps first lay the picture of what sort of improved welfare we should be seeing if just this one component of revenue is hitting such highs.
Well, it's interesting. It's probably like the government is patting itself on its back right now. On a year-by-year basis, it's actually an improvement of up to 62.5% between quarter 3 2024 and quarter 4 2023 and quarter 4 2024. And so clearly there's something the government has done right. But I think it just may be the consciousness that has come into a lot of companies and Nigerians in terms of what that can do and what that is, either at the subnational level and what it can contribute to the federal budget itself.
So, when the government talks about VAT, in many ways, there's still also the subnationals to consider. And so when we come back to this matter of what improved welfare should look like, we come back to the questions of where this money should be going to, whether we should be looking at infrastructure or we should be looking at social safety nets in the way that has been suggested if you consider the number of poor people in the country. Where would you say we should actually be focusing these increased revenues on?
Well, there's been some conversations of recent as to making a direct impact on the more vulnerable percentage of the population. And that's actually what one expects to find. But the question always remains, how would or how could the government directly impact that population? We're in a situation where most of those people who should benefit, I'd like to just borrow a phrase, they're not documented in the sense that there are no NINs or BVNs. So how else will the government try to make a direct impact? It's going to be tough. We've seen in the past the humanitarian ministry. We don't need to rehash what has happened in that ministry with the funds that were supposed to be given directly to Nigerians. But clearly, that's still where we need to go, and that's what the government needs to do. I would think the government at this stage is pretty serious in terms of finding a way to have people on a database and so they can impact them directly with contributions for their needs.
So, when we first started recording these increases, one big indicator for why we were recording the increases was the devaluation of the currency, right? And here we are in the third quarter of 2025. We know that the currency exchange naira to the dollar has been steady for the better part of this year. If we do continue to record record numbers of revenues, what should we point to as the indicator or the reason why?
Well, okay, so there is direct reform impact. You actually mentioned one of them, and that was the devaluation. Certainly that meant that prices rose. And if we all know inflation reached about 32.7% sometime in 2023, it remained high most of 2024. So prices were significantly higher than earlier in 2024. Another reason is the exchange rate multiplier. So with the Naira depreciating, foreign and import VAT collections were actually boosted. In Q1 2024, for instance, foreign VAT payments increased by as much as 33.5%, and import VAT by as much as 36%. So clearly, between both of them, they gave as much as 900 billion naira to the VAT collection. So we know that this is where the VAT is coming from, and that is if at all the net hasn't widened. However, the key thing is this may reflect in terms of what the government is collecting, but it has not yet hit the man on the street.
Well, Mr. Adebajo, I guess this is a conversation we'll have to have as more information and data comes out from 2025. But I do want to say thank you for your time and your analysis on this conversation. My guest is Adeboyega Adebajo, who's an economist, joining me this morning to discuss the federal government's pride, if you like, in the VAT revenue increase from the fourth quarter of 2024. VAT rose to 1.95 trillion naira, which is a 9.2% increase if you compare it to the third quarter of the same year.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.